Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So if you've been following this channel for some time, you've probably noticed a concerning and growing trend where a lot of powerful entities are using their influence to censor what they consider morally problematic artwork, in particular, those being produced on Japanese platforms and by anyone making anime-styled artwork. Now, we've seen the usual suspects like Chase and MasterCard threaten to pull their payment services from various platforms and services because they find certain artwork problematic, and it leaves the target with a get down or lay down situation where either they have to self-censor and lose the respect of the people frequenting their service or products and then keep the payment service, or they say F you to these people, lose their payment service, and pretty much lose their monetization and eventually probably shut down. And we're seeing this happen once again with the Google Play Store, and that's not too surprising to see Google trying to censor anything like this. And the latest target is, of course, Azur Lane. Here's the headline saying Azur Lane is being forced to remove multiple outfits to comply with Google's censorship requirements. Here is the post from the official Azur Lane Twitter account, and there's a lot of things going on here, especially a lot of very confusing things that we'll break down, but let's start here. Dear Commander, HQ regrets to inform you that due to unforeseen circumstances related to the Google Play Store policy, we will be ending the sale of certain outfits. The following outfits will be removed from sale in the outfit shop on all servers after January 4th. So basically it's this has already been completed, but there's going to be a little caveat to that in a second. We're going to talk about it. But first, here's a list of the outfits that are being affected by this change. And to give you an example, here's one of them. Okay, like, my goodness, I can't believe it. A big-tittied anime girl in a bikini in a gacha game? I can't believe this. It's so ridiculous because in Azur Lane itself, there are way lewder outfits than this that are not being touched, and there's also way lewder outfits in other gacha games that are not being cracked down like Azur Lane right now. And what's even weirder is that outfit has been out for years. So why is it all of a sudden such a big problem that it needs to be affected by these changes? But the way these outfits are being affected is also very confusing based on this right here. So, Commander who have purchased these outfits before January 4th will not be affected. You will continue to have full ownership of these outfits. Additionally, eventually this event and yada, yada, yada. So what they're saying is if you purchased this outfit before this deadline that just passed, you get to keep it totally unaffected, which the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist says, maybe this was the greatest marketing ploy of all time to make people feel like these outfits were going away so they would be compelled to buy it right now. But in reality, you have Google making some very weird decisions here. And again, how do you really deal with the fact that this outfit is so problematic, these series of outfits are so problematic that they can no longer be available for sale, but they can still exist in the game for people who already have them? That doesn't make any sense, right? But also on top of that, people are starting to ask, like, who is responsible for all of this? And there's been several different claims, but this one is claiming that this was a Google takedown request, which usually involves a specific report from someone towards the app directly. So like in this case, maybe Timmy was running up his mom's credit card on Azur Lane. She finds out what it's being spent towards her credit card, and she finds out it's being spent on these impure Chinese cartoons, and now she wants to speak to the manager essentially. And then Google reviewed it and started punishing Azur Lane. And whether or not it is Google going off on their own volition to target Azur Lane or they're responding to complaints about the game, either way, it's a bad situation where censorship is affecting the ability to make art. And that is not a good thing. And whether, I say this all the time, whether it's some Puritan or someone who's woke, they all can agree on one thing, and that is their hatred of anything anime styled. Anything that looks like an anime girl, they want it censored, they want it banned, just because they find it personally problematic. Instead of just avoiding something that they don't like, they want it completely removed. And woke people and Puritans, they agree on that. They'll weaponize censorship to target something they don't like artistically. But anyways, here's some of the responses. The most liked reply saying, I am sure this may fall on deaf ears, but as a customer since 2017, I've started to see a concerning amount of censorship from the West. We want Azur Lane to be able to express to gamers as you see fit. I implore you, create your own launcher or something to not be tied down to these censorship policies. Now, that is a very good point. This is something I've been dumbfounded by for many years. Why don't popular gacha games like Azur Lane have a PC client or have their own launcher? Like, it's absolutely, I just don't get it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just totally out of the know, but there's no way that a cost-benefit analysis of having a PC client does not work in favor of actually having it. There's just no way. They're missing out on a lot of additional customers and exposure because it'll be easier to stream the game. It's just a very weird decision and something that I just don't get. But anyways, on top of that, we're seeing this whole part about trying to avoid these censorship policies, and that is one way to do that, right? It's not foolproof, but it's one way to avoid having to basically live at the whim of the Google Play Store. And this is the dramatic soapbox moment, but I can't imagine if Azur Lane came out with a different approach to this and said, you know what, the Google Play Store is trying to censor us. We're tired of it. We're going to create our own launcher and basically say F you. People would go crazy. It'd be viewed as unbelievably based, and people would go crazy supporting Azur Lane, applauding them as they make that decision. But of course, it's a very risky one, and I don't think a lot of these companies want to go anywhere else other than the Google Play Store, and that's just unfortunately the way it is. But there's some other discussions about this where people are saying the rating system is a bit of an issue, that the age of this, by the way, the age rating is T for teen. Azur Lane is T for teen, which should surprise you because, yeah, it's your big titty waifu gacha game. Like, it definitely should be 17 plus or M for mature, what have you. And it is T for teen, but that is what makes this even more confusing because as a kind of a logical extension here, if Google, the Google Play Store looked at Azur Lane and said, these outfits are so bad they gotta go entirely, they're saying in effect everything else is fine. And not only is it fine to exist on their platform, it's fine for a T for teen rated game, which is even more confusing. And also it just shows that the rating system is just completely busted. I think everyone knows that, right? There's games like Azur Lane that are T for teen, and they're doing that because they don't want to be labeled as M for mature, because they're not going to get pushed out the same way as if they are T for teen. And that's another weird effect of censorship by Google, that these companies are trying to lower their rating as much as they can to basically survive on the platform and be treated better than they would if they were labeled as mature. And we've seen other companies have to deal with this whole situation of censorship from Google. We saw Blue Archive have to do the same thing to satisfy Google's censors by releasing basically two versions of the game, an all ages version as well as a 17 plus version, which again shows how ridiculous this whole system is, because Blue Archive is way more tame than Azur Lane, and yet that's the one that has to have a 17 plus version. It's all very confusing, and it really shows that these rating systems are just completely busted, and all you have is these companies, and primarily ones from East Asia, trying everything in their power to navigate the censorship of the Google Play Store and having to strategize their ratings and how they approach things just to basically have their product exist on a platform that is an area where they can sell what they're making. And it's really frustrating. And now, because of situations like this, and a lot of other Western outrage over gacha games and other East Asian games, we're seeing a lot of these gacha games starting to self-censor, especially on social media, and it's a very disturbing trend. We've seen this with other examples, but Brown Dust 2 did something like this, where they released this trailer. I can't really play anything. This is as good as it's going to get. They have their name, their logo here, blocking out all of any bit of skin on this trailer, or on this preview here, and the Japanese version uploaded to their Japanese account is completely uncensored. So they are looking at the way people on the Western side of social media have been acting, and they're saying, well, we don't want to piss off those people. So clearly their outrage constantly about fan service and things like that is what they like over there. So we're going to self-censor to try to keep them happy, which is a very disappointing thing to see, that these companies feel like Either A, through the pressure of services like the Google Play Store have to self-censor to avoid getting in trouble with them, or B, they have to self-censor to avoid outrage or pissing people off on social media on the Western side. It's very, very disappointing. It's like the absolute state of everything going on. And on top of this, like looking back at this whole situation with Azur Lane, you can't even have an honest conversation about these things. And it's pretty disappointing. That's just the way Twitter and social media is right now. If you made a tweet right now saying something along the lines of, the Azur Lane situation is very concerning. I don't really care about the fan service, but I just don't think this game should be censored to satisfy these moral concerns from a bunch of weirdos, whether it's individual level or on a big level like at Google or with these payment processors. And I think we just should avoid playing these games we don't like instead of censoring them. Censorship is bad, actually. If you made a tweet like that, you'd probably get death threats within the first hour because people just are so unhinged when it comes to these related topics, especially Azur Lane. We've talked about Azur Lane on both channels before. People going absolutely insane, threatening the developers because they make fan servicey games and outfits. And it's exactly what they're there for. Like, no one's surprised that the gacha game has a lot of fan service, but instead of just doing something else with their time, avoiding the thing they don't like, both woke people and Puritans decide they want everything censored, and it's ridiculous. It's really childish and it's narcissistic. Their world has to revolve around them because if they can't get their way, they want it removed for everyone else as well. And like I said, this is a very troubling trend here that's only getting worse, and it's something you can't even talk about. You can't even talk about censorship being weaponized like this, being a bad thing, without people just dismissing everything you say because they're like, oh, you're playing the Gooner game over here, and you basically relinquished all of your human rights, and we can treat you any way we want because we're the morally superior ones. It's just an annoying cycle to see, and now Azur Lane is suffering as a result of it. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.